Carol is with me here on set. Stephen, let's start with some trouble on the markets.
Yeah, that's right. Shares have plunged, in fact, across Asia in trading this Monday. This is due to a chain of events that started last Thursday when China's released figures which show that its manufacturing sector could shrink this January, prompting renewed fears of a slowdown in the world's second largest economy. Today, added to that, figures from Japan showing their commercial deficit last year reached a record of $112 billion. That's mostly down to the falling value of the yen and the high cost of imported energy after the Fukushima nuclear disaster. All of the Asian indexes in the red, as you can see there. The Nikkei down 2.25%.
Now here in Europe, there's been a lot of speculation over what the ECB bank stress tests will reveal about the state of the European banking sector.
That's right. This was a big topic of debate at the World Economic Forum in Davos last week. The European Central Bank is carrying out a review of 130 lenders across the Eurozone ahead of taking over as bank supervisor this November. Previous stress tests carried out in 2010 and 2011 saw the majority of lenders passing, but they weren't deemed to be credible. As a result, speaking at a special France 24 debate in Davos, the head of Eurogroup, Jeroen Dijsselbloem, said it could be a good thing if some banks fail the tests.
I rather hope that it's going to unveil some unpleasantness, because that would give me a good feeling that it's been done properly. And I think this is key. We're not doing this to cover up and at the end of the day say, oh, everything's fine now. We're doing this to find out what problems remain and then to deal with them.
Let's move on now with a look at some of the day's companies' news. And Google and Samsung have signed a patents deal which allow cross-licensing of their products. It'll apply to both existing and future technologies. The idea is to avoid costly litigation in the future, like that which Samsung is currently embroiled in with its rival Apple. The mobile carrier Vodafone is said to be in talks to buy the Spanish cable and broadband operator ONO. According to reports from Bloomberg, the discussions are being examined by ONO as an alternative to floating on the stock market. The Spanish firm is valued by one analyst at €6.4 billion. And the French department store chain Galeries Lafayette has abandoned plans to buy the UK retailer House of Fraser. The two had been in talks since last month. Galeries Lafayette executive Nicolas Houzet confirmed the deal was off in an interview with French newspaper Les Echos. He also said the company's management would be set for an overhaul.
Next, could Facebook be heading for a terminal decline? Why is this good news?
This is research from Princeton University. I don't know if it's good news or not, actually. It depends on whether you like Facebook. This is research from Princeton University saying that Facebook could lose 80% of its €1 billion by 1 billion users by 2017. The study is based on comparing Facebook's trajectory with that of MySpace. Now, unsurprisingly, Facebook have disputed the findings. I'll tell you what they had to say in a minute. But first, Catherine Spencer has been looking at how the researchers came to their conclusions.
With more than 1 billion users and an estimated value of $137 billion, Facebook has enjoyed a meteoric rise. But according to a new study from America's Princeton University, the popular social networking site could face sudden death. Researchers using diseases to illustrate the life cycles of social media say Facebook is like a virus infecting people all over the world before abruptly dying out, like its predecessor MySpace. They predict that Facebook could lose 80% of its users by 2017.
If a social network doesn't continue to spread like a virus, it will die out, and that is what is at stake for Facebook. Today, it resembles the same virus that it did 5 or 10 years ago, whereas Google, for example, is constantly developing. Google has managed to continue spreading by developing new applications, Gmail sites, a car, Google Glasses, while Facebook remains just a social network.
The main way that Facebook's changed over the past decade is through its users, who are getting older and older. There's been a sharp rise in the number of over 55s flocking to the site, and that's putting off the next generation of internet users. It's time for Facebook to change or die.
Now, Facebook have responded to that Princeton research by saying that it was only based on how many times people Googled Facebook and didn't take into account mobile users, which is, of course, the majority of Facebook's users. They produced their own research paper to counter the Princeton proposals, looking at how many times Princeton showed up in Google search results. It says, using the researchers' logic, the trend suggests that Princeton will only have half its current students by 2018 and none at all by 2021. Facebook also points out the Google trends for air have been declining steadily, and by their projections, there'll be no air left by 2060.
Well, given the climate change that's going on, that actually may not that may not be that surprising. Thank you very much to Stephen Carroll for the day's business news. Now it's time for web news, starting with ongoing protests in